diversity in media panel with Outfront Media was really important because I feel like we're in this space on these boats, on these yachts, to be clear, and it's very extravagant. You know, it's very lavish and lush. And as a person, a black person, my first time in Cannes, it's very jarring. You know, to come from the world that I come from and be in these spaces that are so elevated and so lush that I'm not used to, but also feeling like, you know, I still have access to feel like I belong and matter in these spaces. And so we want to continue to talk about how there are some spaces that are challenging, you know, for people who don't have access to them. And so I think we had a great dialogue around the importance and the value of, you know, diversity in physical spaces that can, and then also in the workplace and how we can approach it strategically and creatively too. So very powerful, like, panel overall, just to hit diversity from a couple different angles. A lot of this conversation was about access as well. So I think ensuring that, you know, we'll have more people of color, more historically marginalized communities on projects that are working on these can line pieces, right? Like more historically marginalized communities that are women, people of color, queer, LGBTQ+, behind the creative insight of these projects and behind the camera producing these projects. I think that's when we'll get to a point where, you know, this content, these campaigns, these award-winning projects are going to feel more honest and truly authentic. You know, if we want to keep the word and use it in its true case, that's what we want. Is we want to ensure the content and these experiences and these ads and these films are coming from people who understand and can comprehend, you know, the context of the lived experience on the end of that piece.
Absolutely. As a senior level executive and a C-suite executive, it's important that as I've assumed this role, what's really important is to be able to make decisions that are in keeping with my values. And so diversity, equity, and inclusion is incredibly important. And people think they're always looking for the big grand gesture. And what I like to remind everyone on my team and myself, that really it's the small decisions that we make every single day that have the most impact. And so whether you're choosing models, whatever copy you're writing and marketing, making sure the tonality is inclusive and that you're being respectful of all communities. And when you make a mistake, which is inevitable, to own up to it. And really, those decisions are the ones that matter in the grand scheme of things. But I think sometimes they get overlooked because we all want to make that big grand gesture.
I've been here now for a couple of days at Cannes, and it's my first Cannes coming from a media advertising standpoint. I've been here for the film stuff several years back, and there's a couple of observations. You know, one, I think it's a very special time for people to connect, get together, especially coming out of the pandemic. I think those relationships are really, really needing the opportunity to get together. And then I think the other opportunity with Cannes is one of the bigger challenges I see of Cannes overall, especially in a world where we're focusing on relevance and the human-brand relationship mattering more than ever before. And what I mean by that is brands not speaking down to humans, but speaking eye level and building a conversation and thus community. And I think right now the challenge with Cannes is the awards themselves still, to me, feel like they're being made and developed for Cannes in a vacuum. And I think the great responsibility and opportunity of Cannes is to be able to open that up, to incorporate creative and content that's actually been out in the wild, that's been validated by humans, validated by community, and in this world where brands and humans are now speaking to each other as counterpartners in a conversation, creative that resonates in that level should make its way to Cannes. So there's a great opportunity for Cannes to be able to flip everything about what makes this place incredible in this moment. And I think a lot of the creators here that are either building for TikTok or building for other platforms feel that and desire that and want that. And I really sense a buzz around creators really looking to build things that resonate and that's grounded upon real measurement from a standpoint of relevance and human validation, versus kind of made for the room in a boardroom down with some really, really great ideas. And again, the creative is amazing, but celebrating what a handful of people make in a room versus what a billion people celebrate, I think is a real opportunity.
So I think companies need to treat diversity like they treat as a business problem, and you solve business problems by understanding your numbers. You look at what's going wrong. You know, why are people leaving? So you look at the evidence, and that can be found in exit interviews, performance reviews, when you're interviewing people who are going to get promoted internally, and you kind of look at the evidence as to what's going wrong, and then you kind of create strategies for change. It's what you do when revenue's falling or if you're losing contracts, and I think businesses need to take that approach when dealing with culture. It's a business problem, you know, and you've got to take a business approach to it. It's as simple as that.
There are lots of coding schools and there are lots of programs and also campaigns, advertising campaigns to get women and minorities into STEM subjects. So basically start teaching it at school, get more women and minorities to study, say, computer science at university. And these are fantastic programs. However, realistically, if somebody studies computer science at the age of 19 and they take that degree today, when are we realistically going to see the results of that? Maybe in about 20 years. If we are super optimistic, in 5 years, but that's still super optimistic. So what are we going to do today? Today, it is unrealistic to expect that literally all of a sudden we're going to have female and minority computer scientists actually writing the algorithms. So what we can do instead is actually teach non-technical professionals. So teach the business people, teach the creatives. How is an algorithm made? How do you question data? What does a developer do? When you see a data scientist, how can you actually make use of them? Or, when a data science company pitches you for your business, how can you tell which one of them is actually, going to provide you real data and real insight, and which one of them is perhaps slightly unscrupulous? So by learning how to work with developers and learning how to question data, actually we can get much more diversity and we can have much more innovation. And it's far lower hanging fruit because essentially teaching people how to be these digital collaborators, it can take a day. You can have a day workshop and the person is going to essentially know enough to hold their own when speaking to a bunch of tech people.